Coming up this week on Sporting Journal Radio.
Creating more access, more habitat.
Might as well just pour Lucas oil down your throat.
Daily and possession limit for yellow perch on Mille Lacs will be reduced.
Especially as they get down to the final season, there's kind of a poetry about it. And
broadcasting on the Sporting Journal Radio Network, wherever you get your podcasts, or watch on YouTube.
Fish on right now.
Well, we're here at the 2024 Pheasant Fest and Quail Classic, presented by OnX. Know where you stand with OnX. And our guest now is Jeremy Smith. I fish, I hunt, and always will.
It's just to look out for your everyday hunter, angler, and trapper that's out there.
A Fish Hunt Forever production. This is Sporting Journal Radio.
That's right. Welcome to the show. I'm Brett Amundsen with Dan Amundsen and David Eckhart. What's up, fellas?
Hello.
Can we hear David?
Hey, can you hear me?
Oh, now I can hear you. All right, there you go.
Working on things.
Well, it's always a work in progress around here. But lots to get to. We're back home. It's kind of nice to be back in the home studio
for about a day.
Yeah, and we're going to be traveling around in the blizzard of the century, it sounds like. That's coming this weekend.
Can't wait.
We'll see. They keep kind of changing things, and that's typically what happens with these storms. So hopefully it gets pushed back past the weekend because we're going to be on the road traveling and doing sports shows and filming for Prairie Sportsmen. So a lot to get to. And David, I'm surprised you're not out chasing snow geese around today.
Yeah, I don't know. This year, I'm taking a step back a little bit.
Yeah, right. No, you're not.
As I have 400 socks in my backyard, just waiting for birds to show up.
You heard a rumor of a snow goose about 200 miles from your house, and you're like, oh, let's just set some decoys. You're not taking a step back. Come on.
I just don't want to get burned out on the first birds that get here. I want the birds that are still in Arkansas.
I don't want to get burned out, so I haven't even seen a snow goose, so I'm going to set a spread.
I saw a dozen over your house when I got here today. So
well, see, now it kind of makes sense. When you set the decoys, it didn't make sense.
You don't know what you're talking about.
What I think is funny is that you only set out your small bag of socks when you've got a trailer full of full bodies.
2 bags of socks, and I got a blister on my hand because they're not used to setting decoys. But
burned yourself out already, see?
I think 400 socks is adequate for a Minnesota spread.
Well, then I guess if you don't want to shoot anything, that's fine. Whatever.
Yeah. Well, I saved the full bodies to go to South Dakota.
Yeah, there you go. I do want to make a trip this year. I don't know when we're going to have time, but I would like to do it. It seems like now is probably a good time to be doing it. And then the next couple of weeks, they'll be trickling through. And this storm will slow things down a little bit too. So, all right.
We got goofy.
We're going to talk. We did spend time in Kentucky and also Kansas City for Pheasant Fest. We met up with Ben Brettingen from OnX Hunt there. And we're going to recap Pheasant Fest and talk about the big path announcement that they had and what that means for you. It was a cool announcement. We'll talk about that and kind of start to talk a little bit about the new Prairie Sportsman episode that's going to be coming out that Ben is a part of as well. Joe Henry will have a Lake of the Woods fishing report for us coming up too. And we're going to talk about something. I went to the doctor the other day, something that scared me. I'm going to tell you what that was all about here in just a second.
Why? Why every week? Why can we not time this right?
Our pizza's done.
Alexa! Off.
There we go. All right.
Gosh.
And then Dan did some cooking, made some beef tallow. We're going to talk about how that experience went too. But first, Dan, who are the sponsors this week?
This week, we have OnX Hunt. I got to find my read. See private land boundaries, offline maps, and more. Take 20% off a new membership with code SJR20. Lake of the Woods Tourism. Plan a Lake of the Woods or Rainy River fishing trip at lakeofthewoodsmn.com. The Minnesota Deer and Turkey Classic is this weekend, March 14th through 16th at Canterbury Park and Shakopee. Learn more at mndeerclassic.com. Haybell Heights Campground and Resort, Fish Devils Lake this summer. Learn more at haybellheights.com. Tasman Lake Lodge. Catch world record lake trout and giant pike at Saskatchewan's Tasman Lake. Learn more at tasmanlake.com. Sioux Empire Sportsman Shows this weekend in Sioux Falls. Learn more at siouxfallsportshow.com. Prairie Sportsman new season is here. Watch episodes anytime at the Prairie Sportsman YouTube channel. And Guardian Eagle Resort. Plan a trip for next summer to the Ontario waters of Guardian Eagle Resort. Fly directly from the Twin Cities. Learn more at guardianeagle.com.
Whew. I got tired just listening to that.
Sped that up.
All right. Some controversy in our headlines today, ladies and gentlemen.
Headlines.
That's right.
So no one can hear you when that's playing, by the way.
Daily and possession limit for yellow perch on Mille Lacs will be reduced from 20 to 5. This is causing some consternation among anglers.
Some uproar.
They are not happy about it. I don't know. As I was talking to a buddy of mine, he said, you know what, 10 would have been a better option because I can go over there and catch my 10 and bring it back and cook a meal for my wife and I. 5, it's almost like, and Darren Troseth even commented about it, saying, I'm not going to make a trip to Mille Lacs to catch 5.
Right.
Well, here's the thing. If the resource needs help, I don't care what you can bring home.
Well, there's that.
I mean, it's not about what you can catch and bring home all the time. And again, it's Mille Lacs, so there's also some tribal treaty things going on here. So
that's number one, I think. But
yeah, it is.
The as we saw this spring, obviously fishing was pretty good. It didn't seem like there was a shortage of them.
For what?
Or this winter for perch. Sorry.
Well, so let me read it right here. I've got it pulled up on sportingjournalradio.com. State licensed anglers share the perch harvest on Mille Lacs with Ojibwe tribes that retain fishing rights by treaty. To conserve the fishery, an annual safe harvest level is cooperatively established by the state and tribes through a government-to-government co-management process. Each party then sets fishing regulations to stay within their share of the harvest. As of February 23rd, the state has harvested more than 43,000 pounds of perch, exceeding its share of the harvest of 36,500 pounds. So, by that,
I didn't even know there was a quota for perch with that deal.
I'm guessing most people didn't because we haven't seen fishing like this in a long time and it hasn't been worried about. But now we're there, and so it's honestly surprising you can even keep a perch, because if that was walleyes, it'd be shut down immediately. So be thankful you can even keep 5.
Well, that went into effect March 11th, so if you plan on doing any fishing, just be aware of the new limits there. March 17th is your fish house removal in North Zone. March 31st, once again, from Minnesota-Canada border waters like Lake of the Woods. So if you got a house out there, get it off there. And elk. The Minnesota Department of Natural Resources is postponing the elk research project in northwest Minnesota due to scheduling delays and unfavorable conditions to safely and successfully capture and collar elk. So we'll keep you updated on that effort as we go. We spent some time down south, David. We were down in Kentucky. We went over to Kansas City. And when I went down and turkey hunted with Corey Loeffler a couple of years ago, and we spent time in Missouri, we had the Sitka suit, the Equinox with the permethrin baked in, or the insect shield baked into it. Didn't have any ticks on me the entire time. And anytime we had a dog out running around, it had ticks on it immediately. So stuff worked. We did a photo shoot one day while I was down there. I just had my regular clothes on. Immediately I had a Lone Star tick walking up my leg. Freaked me out. So we were down in Kentucky. Temps were kind of cold. We went to Pheasant Fest, downtown Kansas City. Didn't really worry about ticks there at all. Got home and found a tick had bitten me, and the reason I didn't show anybody a picture of it is because where it bit me.
Oh boy.
I'm in the shower washing all 2,000 parts.
How many?
Whatever that old commercial was. That might be too old for you, Dan, but and I get down to probably the best hiding place that a wood tick could probably find, directly down in the undercarriage, if you know what I'm talking about. And I'm washing, scrubbing, and I'm like, that feels like a wood tick, and it feels like it's holding on tight. And
there to stay.
This is live audio from what I heard outside the office.
I was not happy about it. So then they recommend, I've heard some people suggest, trying to drown a tick to get them to release, things like that. The best option is grab some tweezers and pull straight out. And that's what I had to do. And this area is a little bit of a sensitive area of my body, if you know what I'm talking about. So I may have made noises like that as I pulled it out. And I don't know if the shower or ripping it out or what killed it, but it was dead, and it had that white dot on it. And I'll be honest, I don't know how long it was there. So I immediately called the doctor. Some people say, well, is there a bullseye, is there a rash, or is this or that? If something I know has bit into me, a tick, deer tick, wood tick, Lone Star has bit into me, I don't know how long it's been there. Immediately I call the doctor and get them to give me some doxycycline. Immediately. So that's what I did. And thankfully the hospital here was able to get me in right away. Doctor, I like this doctor, but he's like, okay, so show me if you were in all these areas that were like deer tick hot spots. And I pointed to Kentucky and Missouri, and I said, no, this is where I came from. This is a Lone Star tick. He's like, oh, you're teaching me stuff today.
Follow the science.
Okay. So, but he was great, and I got the doxycycline, and I don't mess around with it, and I don't feel any different. I don't see a bullseye or anything down there. But here's the hardest part: is like trying to see that area is not easy.
You got to put your phone in
that's what I've been doing.
Facing camera.
Sonar.
So for these kids,
forward-facing sonar.
These kids that are taking these pictures and sending their girlfriends back and forth, like I don't know how the girlfriend wants more. You send one. It's like nobody wants to see that. So anyway, yeah, it's woofda. So. Be very careful. It is tick season. I put the dogs on the tick medicine today as well
pill?
too. The pill, yeah. So be careful. Use permethrin. So Dr. Rawls was a doctor that came on our show a couple of years ago to talk about ticks, and I asked him about the Lone Star tick back then after encountering it for the first time in Missouri. And if Dan is ready to go, we will play you what he told me right here.
Well, there are other illnesses. It does carry rickettsia species and other things. And quite frankly, again, we are just discovering all the different microbes that are carried by different kinds of ticks. Lone Star tick is associated with starry, which is the southern version of Lyme disease. So they haven't traced out the bacteria yet, but they think it's just a different species of Borrelia. By the way, when I was writing Unlocking Lyme about 4 years ago, they had found 12 different species of Borrelia that can cause Lyme disease. Now that list is up to 21. So like I said, there's just a lot of things out there that we don't know about. So every tick carries bacteria that can infect you. So all ticks are suspicious.
So there you go. I mean, there's doctors everywhere that don't know much about this either, and they're learning more and more each year. He's got a book, Unlocking Lyme, and if you want to see our full interview or listen to our full interview, you can download it wherever you get podcasts or check out the Sporting Journal Radio YouTube channel. Dan, we want to get a little bit healthier in the food realm. So we're trying to get rid of all the vegetable oils and stuff, and you spent some time in the kitchen recently.
Well, I spent a few minutes in there, because this is actually a pretty easy process. So remember back in the day, this is even almost before my time, when McDonald's French fries tasted really, really good.
Yeah.
And now they don't taste as good because they used to fry them in beef tallow. And now they don't for whatever dumb reason. Somebody probably came out and said, that's bad for you. It's for animal abuse. I don't know. They stopped doing that.
There may have been an obesity problem in this country.
Well, yeah, but then
may have been.
Then they switched to, so we had to make them not taste as good. Excuse you. Because then they switched to, I would guess it's some form of vegetable oil or canola oil or some form of seed oil, which
I'm not sure. I'll look it up.
Might as well just pour Lucas oil down your throat. It's terrible for you. And so David was kind enough to bring us some beef fat to help us make goose hamburger, and we had some left over. I said, you know what? That's becoming tallow. So it's really incredibly easy. It was already chunked up from when we were grinding it. So I dumped the frozen bag into a pot. In the pot, I put about a ½ inch of water on the bottom, and I put it on low heat for a while. I think it ended up taking me about 8 hours until it was all the fat pieces were kind of a crispy brown looking thing, and I had oil in my pan. And so then I strained it into mason jars, and I really only got about 1 1/4 mason jar, but of tallow. But now we have things to, basically a butter substitute or an oil substitute for cooking. But if you also look up all the uses for beef tallow, it's amazing what you can do with the stuff. People will use it for like machinery lubricant.
Yeah.
You can use it as a moisturizer for your skin. Lotion, beard oils,
balms,
soaps. It's all sorts of use. So it's pretty amazing stuff. And you can do it with bear. You can do it with deer. You can do it with birds. That's moose. A lot of moose. Yeah, whatever. But it's a lot of fat to get at a reasonable amount. So we need more fat.
So McDonald's French fries are cooked in a vegetable oil blend, specifically using canola oil and also corn oil, soybean oil, and hydrogenated soybean oil.
Ew, David.
Before the 1990s, McDonald's used beef fat to fry their French fries, but switched to vegetable oil due to health concerns. So follow the science.
Yeah, no kidding.
So what's healthy today, not healthy tomorrow, healthy again the next day. You never know. Yeah. They retained the natural beef flavor to ensure the familiar taste of French fries. And they use hydrolyzed wheat and hydrolyzed milk, which makes them unsuitable for those following a vegetarian or vegan diet.
What?
Because of the natural beef flavor. They're no longer part of the vegan diet. Anyway.
Well, I can tell you, on our last trip, I became a McDonald's expert thanks to the McDonald's app. We had some French fries. Not as good as they used to be, I can promise you. And I paid about $4 the whole trip at McDonald's thanks to the app. Unbelievable. Shameless plug, get the McDonald's app.
Every time we
trashes them and then get the app.
Make better fries, but their chicken nuggets are still good. They're probably also cooked in not beef tallow, but the burgers are still fine. I mean, I say pretty good. What I mean is after I've been driving for 8 hours and I'm hungry, tastes pretty good.
Every time we'd leave, Dan be like, I think I just robbed them.
Oh my gosh, it's unbelievable. You should have seen the amount of food. The first time we were there, what did I get? I think I got a double cheeseburger, a 4-piece McNugget, a small drink. No. Well, yeah, I got that. Okay, that was like $3 because there was a buy one, get one deal in the app. And then they have this meal deal where you get either a McChicken, a spicy McChicken, or a McDouble with 6 chicken nuggets and small French fries and a small drink for $5. So I got that on top of the buy one, get one free McDouble and chicken nuggets. So now I had 10 chicken nuggets, 2 hamburgers, French fries, and a drink for about $8.
All of this screams health concerns.
Look at me. Do I look? I look fine.
Doesn't matter what it was cooked in. You ate like enough for a meal, family of 6.
Yeah.
It was $8. You got less food than me and paid like double what I paid.
Yeah. Well, I'm not doubting the ability to save money, but you don't need to eat all that food is my point.
Well, did I have to eat the rest of the day? No.
I think the next 3 days he didn't need to eat.
So I paid $8 for about 2 meals.
It was pretty good. I saved money too using that app. So that is your tip of the day.
I used my credit card, so Dave Ramsey is going to come after me.
Hey, some commercial anglers were fishing off the coast of Massachusetts last week.
For what?
Caught the body of a woman.
Probably weren't fishing for that.
In their nets. Controversy. So a whole investigation went in. Who murdered this woman? She was dumped at sea. The chief medical examiner found that the woman was in the 60-year-old range and had numerous cancerous tumors. The body had been embalmed and now appears to be just a burial at sea. So, and then got caught in the nets of some commercial fishermen. So, a sad story for that family, of course. And they can't identify her now. So it's a pretty sad story. We've all caught something weird.
Mostly rocks and
when
sticks.
We're fishing. Glad I'm not a commercial fisherman off the coast of Massachusetts. All right, we got a new Prairie Sportsman coming up this Sunday night. It involves Ray Ruiz and Carl Erickson and their 10,000 Ice Anglers project. This is what you can see on the Prairie Sportsman YouTube channel or Sunday night at 7:30 on Pioneer PBS.
Who wants to catch fish? I like it.
On today's Prairie Sportsman, we visit with Carl Erickson and Ray Ruiz as they introduce ice fishing to kids.
It's just really an honor to be in a position to serve these kids.
Then, researchers at the new Bioindustrial Innovation Center in Waseca work on another use for hemp.
Looking at new fibers, new opportunities to support Minnesota agriculture.
So watch for it on a PBS station near you or Sunday night on Pioneer PBS or the YouTube channel. We have Ben Brettingen from OnX Hunt coming up and Joe Henry with the Lake of the Woods Fishing Report when we come back.
Don't miss the 2025 Minnesota Deer and Turkey Classic, presented by Select Heartland Chevy dealers, March 14th, 15th, and 16th at Canterbury Park in Shakopee. This year's Classic features top outdoor celebrities like Don and Candy Kiske of Realtree Whitetail Freaks, Melissa Bachman of Winchester Deadly Passion, and Daniel Schmidt from Deer and Deer Hunting. Get your antler score, view more than 300 antler entries, and see the latest hunting products, plus a great lineup of lodges and outfitters. Learn more about the Minnesota Deer and Turkey Classic, March 14th, 15th, and 16th at mndeerclassic.com.
All right, right, we're back. Sporting Journal Radio. This segment brought to you by the 58th Annual Sioux Empire Sportsman's Boat Camping and Vacation Show, March 13th through the 16th at Sioux Falls Arena and Convention Center in Sioux Falls. Joe Henry from Lake of the Woods Tourism joins us. Joe, I know you've been to that show in the past. Are you going to be out there this year?
Now, you know what? I'm going to be in Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
All right.
So are you going to be at the show, though?
Yes.
Yeah, so yes.
Well,
perfect.
I'm having a hard time hearing you guys. I thought you were talking about one of the shows coming up this weekend, and I'm going to be at the Sioux Falls Sportsman Show. Is that what you're referring to?
That's the one. Let's talk about where you are today, however, because you looks like you're down at the Capitol.
Yeah, lots going on today. It's Hospitality Minnesota's Hospitality Day at the state capitol, and certainly we're advocating for hospitality businesses across the state down here at the Capitol, and meeting with legislators, and we also are advocating for our Keep It Clean legislation. Keep It Clean meaning I'm kind of getting inundated here, so I think I'm going to have to step away. Hold on one second here.
Are those protesters down there?
No, nothing like that. Just
walleyes matter. Walleyes matter.
Yeah, walleyes matter.
Walleyes matter.
So does ice fishing through March 31st. So does spring fishing. So does the late walleye season, and all that good stuff. But
Lake of the Woods.
No, but we're talking to legislators about different things, and one of the things is that Keep It Clean legislation, and we have legislation out there that for a number of years now we've had a volunteer grassroots effort leading our Keep It Clean efforts across the state of Minnesota, and one of the things we're advocating for is that Keep It Clean could be run more formally by either the DNR or the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency. And it sure seems like those organizations are for it. It's just a matter of, finding some money so we can fund it. But, with millions and millions of angling hours on our ice each year and it growing, it's important across the entire state that we continue our efforts for Keep It Clean and, make sure that we're getting the word out.
Well, let's talk about late season ice fishing up at Lake of the Woods. I know the removal for fish houses up there is March 31st. I think you mentioned that. And people are still ice fishing strong up there, it sounds like.
It's still going strong. We have a lot of ice fishing still happening. And I got to tell you, walleye fishing has been very consistent. Certainly you have pressure systems move through and it's still fishing. But overall, people are catching plenty of fish to eat. And in some cases, if you hit it right, you can have some big number of days. In addition, our pike fishing this last week has really, really taken off. We got people out there catching northern pike through the ice. And I heard of two guys in 2 days caught like 120 pike in one spot. So that's not the norm by any stretch. But there's a lot of big pike being caught, a lot of pike being caught. They're starting to, go to the shallows a little bit. They're starting to stage, for the spawn. And Mother Nature is moving things right along. And, one thing about Mother Nature, and you guys know this, but, part of it is temperature and what are the temperatures doing and things. But the other part of it is just length of days. And that the whole length of day thing that's a consistent part. And that gets Mother Nature kicked into gear. We're watching the Rainy River. Normally the Rainy River will start popping open out by Birchdale and that sort of thing east of Bret. Normally about the third week of March. Again, this year Mother Nature will tell. We have nothing yet. It's still all iced over, but we'll find out. So we have ice fishing right now going on, you guys, both across the South Shore Lake of the Woods with ice roads and things. Resorts are open and they still have houses out. We also have some very good ice fishing happening up at the northwest angle.
Well, we want that river to be open for our tournament, of course, the SJR 500, April 8 and 9. So I've been seeing some pictures going around in other places of these machines, like big excavators on floats or something. I'm not even quite sure how it works, but they're breaking ice open in different places. I think we need to get some of those on the Rainy, Joe, if it's still iced over in April.
I saw those. I think that was up on the Winnipeg River, wasn't it?
It was,
if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, but those are pretty neat. But we're just fortunate that Cooch County and the city of Bret and others have gotten their backhoes out and will help clear open a boat access that has ice in front of it. So, you know what? With that being said, it takes an army. We had a spring fishing meeting here recently, and between I don't want to miss anybody, but Cooch County, Lake of the Woods County, the DNR Fisheries, DNR Enforcement, Ontario Ministry of Natural Resources, OPP. Sheriff's Department for Cooch County, Lake of the Woods County. whether it's public safety, whether it's clearing accesses, whether it's clearing snow, whether it's updating everybody on regs. I mean, it takes a small army to pull that off, and we're just appreciative that they still do that.
Should we play a little bit of the song before we let Joe go? Or do we have?
Well, here, let me put it on speaker and let me blast it over the Capitol. Can I?
I love it.
You got a boombox?
Just Joe, when you walk back through the Capitol, just pull it up on YouTube and just play it. Like put your little phone on your shoulder. Like it's the 1980s.
Well, truth be known, I was actually humming it earlier, and when I was humming it, a whole bunch of people came up. Hey, you're part of Fish Hunt Forever. You're part of Sporting Journal Radio. Hey, Brett Amundsen, Danny Amundsen, David. I mean, everybody's shouting out names. I couldn't believe it.
That's right. We're kind of a big deal. There you go.
If you want to catch a big fish, you have to go where the big fish are. Come join us at the walleye capital, Lake of the Woods and the Rainy River.
Love it.
The tourney's for fun. It's all catch and release. Sign up on Fish Donkey and pay $40 for the fees. SJR 500, presented by Wade Pro. The SJR 500, it's awesome. We've got some cash to give away.
That's pretty good. It's so catchy. I just can't believe how good AI did with that. It's unreal.
That is a good tune. And, I tell you, that opening line, if you want to catch a big fish, you have to go where the big fish are.
Where do you think I got that from, Joe? Yes. Where do you think I got that line from, Joe?
Oh, I think you've probably heard it a time or two, haven't you?
Maybe.
It's almost like when I say that, that's almost like that it's like a Forrest Gump quote, isn't it? I mean, it's like so obvious. It's like, yeah, hey, if you want to catch a monster walleye, fish in a lake or a river that has a lot of monster walleyes.
Yeah.
A what?
It just makes sense.
Life is like a box of chocolate-covered walleyes.
Follow the science. All right, Joe.
He's such a nerd, bro.
April 8th and 9th, Rainy River, the SJR 500 on the Fish Donkey app. Get yourself signed up. Find the details at sportingjournalradio.com. And you can listen to that song again right there on that page, too. Just click on SJR 500 in the menu. And if people want to plan a trip to Lake of the Woods, for more information, what should they do, Joe?
Yeah, man, get that bonus ice fishing trip in if you like. Check out our website, and that is lakeofthewoodsmn.com.
Miller High Life presents the Sioux Empire Sportsman Show today through Sunday at the Sioux Falls Arena and Convention Center. Visit hunting and fishing lodges from the Midwest to Canada. Plan your vacation right at the show. See fishing boats, docks, RVs and campers, fishing gear, and the latest in fishing electronics, along with fishing seminars and the Wildlife Adventure Center. It's the Sioux Empire Sportsman Show today through Sunday at the Sioux Falls Arena and Convention Center. For show information, go to SiouxFallsSportsShow.com, a Sonenko production.
Lake of the Woods, the walleye capital of the world, is calling out to you. From the Northwest Angle to the South Shore and Rainy River, this is the Midwest's #1 ice fishing destination. Walleyes, sauger, perch, northern pike, and eelpout. The fishing on Lake of the Woods is like a world of its own. Experience the most amazing fishing through one of the many full-service resorts featuring heated fish houses, ice transportation, meal plans, and sleeper fish house options. For more information, go to lakeofthewoodsmn.com.
Hi, this is Sporting Journal Radio. This segment brought to you by Guardian Eagle Resort in Ontario. Come fish. There's 75,000 acres of private water for all the walleyes you can handle, and trophy pike as well. Delicious food, comfortable lodging, and you can fly directly there from Minneapolis, from the Anoka County Airport in Blaine, I believe is the name of it there. It's just a beautiful place. You can find out more at guardianeagle.com. Well, last weekend I had the chance to stop in Kansas City for the annual Pheasant Fest get together, and had a chance to see some buddies, including Ben Brettingen from OnX, who joins us right now on the show. Ben, have you recovered yet from the show?
Yeah, I'm up and rolling. It took a few days, but we're back in action.
I hadn't been to it in Kansas City before. I wasn't sure quite what to expect. And after I got there and went to the banquet and saw how big the banquet was, and I've heard everything from 1,400 to 1,700 people in there that night, Saturday night. It was big. And I remember walking in the room going, oh, I may have let out a few words that the FCC would appreciate me not using at the moment, because I didn't expect it to be that big with that many people. And when you think about it, and you look at Kansas City on a map, and when you think about the quail range, the pheasant range, it's not the entire United States, but there's a good chunk of it in the south, there's a good chunk of it in the north, and going to Kansas City puts yourself kind of right in the middle of the United States as a whole. So in reality, it's not a bad location.
No, not at all. And like you said, honestly, I was a little worried because sure, you're attracting the, Kansas, Oklahoma crowd, but that's the great thing about quail is that there necessarily isn't an epicenter. You could go to the southwest to hunt desert birds, the northwest for mountain quail, valley quail, bob whites from New Mexico to Florida. So it's just all over the board, and I think the quail, the 20th anniversary of Quail Forever shone through in Kansas City.
Yeah, for sure, and that's pretty neat that was kind of the 20th anniversary. And I don't spend much time in quail country. I'm more of a pheasant guy, and then of course rough grouse guy. But there was enough celebration around quail and Quail Forever that I think I'm just gonna have to make a trip this next season for sure. Go somewhere and hunt quail somewhere. I don't know where yet, but I'm gonna end up somewhere. I want to do it.
I'm a recovering pheasant hunter, and I try to spend more time hunting quail. So I'm sure we can line something up. But the thing about quail is it's so weather dependent, so rain dependent, that you're almost better off not planning anything until about October 1st and seeing where the rainfall lines up, because with boom and bust population dynamics, you could go back to the same year that was fantastic last year. There wasn't a hatch there, whether it's because it was too dry or too wet, and all of a sudden it's no good anymore. So that's also what makes it kind of fun, is you get to go travel around to different places trying to get on the best bird numbers.
What is it about quail hunting that has made you want to do that more than pheasants?
For me, it's the dog work, running pointing dogs. Pheasants they're fun, but they just don't behave well. They're not a gentlemanly bird. So if you've got a big running pointing dog, a lot of the times, if you've hunted pheasants, that they're going to run off the nose of a pointing dog and then run 100 yards, 200 yards, and then flush at the end of a field or something like that. Where with a quail, you have a staunch pointing dog, and they're gonna point, and the birds might run, and certainly depending on the species of quail, but odds are you're going to be able to get to that dog. That dog can stay on point, and a covey rise blows up right in your face, which is a whole experience by itself. If you're new to it, you're going to miss a couple coveys before you get on it, because the flock shooting mentality is certainly real. So that's part of it. And then it's just an iconic game bird. It's native to North America, and it's fun to see all the places that they have adapted to, from the live oak trees of the South to some inhospitable desert areas of Texas and New Mexico.
The closest I've come to that, I think, I was duck hunting in North Dakota one time, laying in a cornfield, and we were up on top of a hill, and I looked down into the slough bottom, and I could see pheasants kind of bouncing around and hear them cackling down there. And after the ducks stopped flying, I was like, I'm gonna run down there and shoot a couple pheasants. And it was wild, because as I approached, and I think I'm sure I had Mika with, and she went into the cattails, all these pheasants got up, and I think I shot one or two of those, and all of a sudden then this whole group of Huns got up.
Oh, yeah.
And I think I shot one or two of those. And I think I had a Hun and a pheasant retrieve from water, which I thought was kind of interesting. But it was just like this mass chaos. And I was hunting with one other guy, and he's like, you have at it. He stayed up on the hill and just watched the whole thing happen. It was just birds flying in every direction. But so it was kind of fun to see those little Huns get up in a big group like that. But gonna have to do the quail one of these years. And let's get back to Pheasant Fest for 1 second. What did you guys? We were talking on the last day, and George Lyle was there with us, and he's like, "What'd you see, Brett, walking around here? What did you see anything that stood out to you? That's my George. Thank you very much."
Yeah.
And I said, I saw a little of this, a little of that. And you could tell that I think you were hoping for us to notice something hanging above the OnX booth that you pointed out to us. You had a bunch of birds hanging above that. That looked like a little bit of work, Ben.
Yeah, we had a little mobile up there. Imagine a baby's thing hanging over its crib, and I think we had, what did we have? I think a dozen quail and 8 roosters all hanging up from the ceiling. So that was quite a process, to craft that thing, to work with the venue to be able to get a cherry picker. It was 42-foot ceilings, and it was quite a process to build that, get all the birds mounted, get it hung up. But when you were walking through the show and you look over there, it was pretty striking. So
yeah, where'd you get all the mounts?
By a taxidermist out in South Dakota, Pete's Taxidermy out there, and he raises pheasants, raises quail. The showroom is incredible, massive. So just went out there, in about 3 months he had them all done for me, and worked out nicely.
Oh, so those were all new mounts that you got for this specifically?
Yep, exactly.
Wow.
So if anyone's in the market to use 20 mounts here for 360 days out of the year, I just need them for about 4. Otherwise they're going to be in a box.
You don't think you could just hang those up at home?
Yeah, I tried that one. I tried to see if I could get that to fly, especially new remodel at home. We could build that into it, but yeah, for some reason that didn't fly. I don't know why.
That's funny. We should bring up a big announcement that took place regarding the PATH program while at Pheasant Fest this year, Ben. What happened?
Yeah, so PATH, if you're not familiar, is Public Access to Habitat, and it launched first 2 years ago in South Dakota. It was a joint, Pheasants Forever led the charge in conjunction with South Dakota Game Fish and Parks and Pheasants and Quail Forever. So us three as partners launched PATH, which essentially is an incentive program to landowners to enroll, an extra incentive to enroll their property into walk-in access. So in South Dakota, I think in the first year it hit 10,000. I think now we're up to 15,000 acres in South Dakota. And then this past fall, a PATH-esque program launched in Nebraska, which they called Nebraska Community Access Partnership. And what that was a very similar model. It was in the Ogallala area, which is around Lake McConaughey in western Nebraska. And that one was more kind of centered on a local town that had a lot of access or a lot of recreation in the summer, and they wanted to grow access in the fall. And so that was largely funded through the Nebraska Environmental Trust, and we partnered on that again to assist with that landowner incentive payment. And I think in the first year they hit 46,000 or less than a year, 46,000 acres.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So, and then this all stems back to, if I know you're familiar, but the Aberdeen Pheasant Coalition in Brown County, South Dakota, which they kind of pioneered this model. And so that's where all of this stemmed from. And at Pheasant Fest, pretty awesome thing. We scaled it to a national program. So OnX Hunt is supporting this program for the first, at least for the first 3 years to get it off the ground. And we're going to be expanding to, as many states as we can that fit the criteria for this program. So that's creating more access, more habitat across the country, and that was the goal. Was to scale this and increase access to multiple different user groups, multiple different areas across the entire country.
I think that's so important, and I just think it's brilliant to expand it. It just makes sense. I'm a fan of the walk-in programs that are out there. You're never going to have everything open to public hunting. There's always going to be a lot of private land ownership, and to be able to open up some of that private land to public access and make it, give the landowner some incentive to do that, not just open things up. If they're paying taxes on it, let's give them a little incentive to allow people to come in and do some hunting on it. So these programs, I think, are vital because to me, the number one a topic to keep people hunting, and you talk about the R3, the number one thing to me is access, and improving access to quality habitat, and incentivizing some landowners to open up some land to public access is very important. Ben Brettingen from OnX Hunt is our guest right now. We've got to take a quick break, but we'll come back. We'll talk more about public land and hunting access and OnX and old dogs. We come back on Sporting Journal Radio.
It doesn't get much better than fresh perch and fresh walleye. If you're looking for an exciting winter fishing destination, come to Devil's Lake, North Dakota. Haybale Heights Campground and Resort is on the ice with a fleet of snow bears, keeping you mobile and warm so you can stay on the roaming schools of fish. Haybale Heights on the east end of Devil's Lake has knowledgeable guides, comfortable cabins, and their own lake access, making your trip as successful and stress-free as possible. To book your trip, go to haybaleheights.com. That's haybaleheights.com.
All right, this segment brought to you by Tasman Lake Lodge, Trophy Lake Trout, Northern Pike in Northwest Saskatchewan. We'll be back up there this summer recording a new season of Tasman TV. In fact, we got a new episode from last season coming out on the Tasman Lake YouTube channel. Check it out, or just watch them all on the website at tasmanlake.com. Ben Brettingen, OnX Hunt, our guest here right now on the show, fresh off the next Pheasant Fest. They announced it at the end of the banquet on Saturday night. Ben, back in Minnesota next week, which it's nice, I'm sure, to move around and get some new people involved in different parts of the area, but gosh, it sure is nice when it comes back to Minnesota.
It's nice for a number of different reasons. Selfishly, I'm 40 minutes from home, but the other part is Minneapolis is the home of Pheasants Forever, and it will certainly break the attendance record again, which is always fun to have a packed house.
Oh, it's great. Especially for an organization like Pheasants Forever. You know, there's a lot of great conservation organizations out there. PF is probably my favorite just for what they do for habitat and how that habitat and land access and what that does, not just for pheasants and quail and, hunters, but other wildlife. I mean, waterfowl, it benefits. The grass work benefits waterfowl so much as well. So much of what they do benefits more than just the pheasants and quail out there. So I think it's great, and to have that much support from people from all over, really realistically all over the world is fantastic. And I want to mention one thing too, Ben. I want to thank you too for being a part of the SJR 500 once again. If you want to come up and join us April 8th and 9th at the Rainy River, we'll be up there with our fishing tournament once again, big walleye and big sturgeon. We're going to give away some OnX Elite memberships while we're there and some other OnX Hunt gear. Tell us, for people that may, it's hard to believe that there might be somebody out there that doesn't have an OnX membership right now. Like everywhere you go, like, oh yeah, I was on OnX and I saw this, and like, oh, did you see this land? I was looking at it on my OnX app, But for people that don't realize an elite membership, what it all gets you to its full potential, there's more than just finding out who owns the land. There's a lot you can get with that elite membership, isn't there?
100%. Yeah, there's again, you get like you said, you get private and public land ownership information to 50 states all across the country, as well as you get exclusive discounts to a bunch of different brands. I think there's like 50 some odd in there, whether it's, Final Rise, who was top of mind at Pheasant Fest, Sound Gear, Mossy Oak, some bunch of educational partners. There's a lot in there. So if you go to onxmaps.com/hunt/elite pro deals, you can find that, as well as Hunt Research Tools. If you're looking to go out west to hunt, we've got a great setup there where you can figure out, okay, I've got this many points, I want to go hunt this species. You can see draw odds, tag trends, harvest statistics, all sorts of fun stuff, all within your OnX Elite membership.
I talked to Matt Davis for a while at the OnX booth at Pheasant Fest this year, by the way, and I have the Summit vest from Final Rise that I really like. And these new vests are not cheap. There's no question, but there's a reason for it. And I love mine, and I utilize every part of it, and I enjoy all those benefits. And if you're going to hunt as much as we do, you're going to want a vest that's going to stand up to that abuse and be able to, have everything you need within arm's reach, and these vests allow you to do that. And I save money through my elite membership.
Yeah, exactly. And the nice thing about those vests is I've switched physical vests a few times, not because it was worn out, but just for the sake of switching. And I know a couple people that are on their original vest, and they have close to, what is it? I think it's over 1,000 days in the field with it.
Jeez.
Oh, well over. I think it's like 1,500 days. And so if you're, a lot of people will never put on 1,500 days in their life. So this vest could last you a lifetime.
Yeah, they're nice, and they're built for, if you got 2 full water bottles, maybe a couple birds in the back, and you got some shells, they get a little heavy at times, but the way they're built to not weigh you down so much, put a lot of stress on your back. Once you go to a vest like that, you won't want to go back to one of the older cheap ones anymore. So it's nice to have. And Ben, I got to see your setup a little bit when I was editing the episode of Prairie Sportsman that you're going to be a part of. It's coming up in a couple of weeks. We called the segment Old Dogs, and it's going to air on Pioneer PBS on March 30th, and then after that on PBS stations near you in the Twin Cities there, Ben. I believe TPT Life carries Prairie Sportsman I think it's usually the week after on Saturdays, and then the Minnesota channel seen all over the state of Minnesota. You can watch Prairie Sportsman. I think it's on 14 stations in 7 states now, or something like that. So airs over 600 times a year. So there's a place to see it. And of course, the Prairie Sportsman YouTube channel. You can go there. It's usually on there before it airs anywhere else, actually. So we've got an episode coming up, and it was kind of a special one because I believe it was Matt Schmidt that gave me this idea. He was messaging me on Facebook, and we were talking about old dogs. He's like, yeah, me and a couple of buddies, we get our old dogs together. They have to be at least 10. We go to a game farm, we get a small field, and we put out a bunch of birds and just let the dogs be hunting dogs. And I was like, man, that's awesome. Especially when you got an older dog that can't get around as well anymore. And when you're out there hunting, whether by yourself or with buddies, like if you're probably like me, you end up going into some of the gnarliest stuff you can get into. And it's tough for those old dogs to get in there. So to give them an opportunity to do this, I think is great. So we did that with Corey Loeffler and Jason Markula as well, and brought the old dogs out and had a pretty fun, other than the weather, we had a pretty fun afternoon out there.
Yeah, the weather was a little brutal. Driving wind and some snow and whatnot, but it was fun when we dropped the dogs out of the box. Like they didn't care. They loved every second of it.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't really want to ruin this moment talking about our old dogs, but Dan is back.
Hi.
I can't believe it. And David survived in Dan's chair. I'm pretty impressed with this.
Can we get him clicking buttons over here?
Can we get him on the third camera? Is this going to work?
Yeah, figure it out. You're showing up.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing.
I wonder if I can hear anything. Can I say anything?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Perfect. Hey, Ben, I can't see you.
I can't see you.
I can't hear you either. That's okay.
You can't hear anything yet?
This is a train wreck. Glad I could come in and ruin it all.
Well, you guys could just switch spots too.
No,
whatever.
It's David's show. He's going to finish it.
All right, sounds good.
I'm going to sit here and drink a beverage.
Dan had a fire call. I'm not going to ask you about the fire call at all.
Oh, it's fine. They cancel us halfway there. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
I knew that's what was going to happen.
Called it.
Prescribed burn that the other county decided not to tell us about. Communicate. Hard things in the 2025.
Well, welcome to the show, Dan.
Thanks. I'm going to still try to figure out how to hear myself.
Well, we're almost done anyway. So thanks for coming back.
You're welcome. Don't race back.
For the show's over. Well, anyway, Ben, we got to learn about Annie, and as I've told, it's funny, when I edited this show, and then Brad Keeley, who's one of our other editors for Prairie Sportsman, he was taking the segments to put them together to build the actual full show that'll go out on broadcast. And he kept messaging me, and he's like, all right, I just need, I need this little thing, or I need this or whatever. And he goes, yep, I'm crying again watching this. And I told everybody, I said, when I sent it out to our producer and everybody, I said, the room's going to get a little dusty when you watch this one. So this, we did some pretty cool shows this season, but this one will probably go down as my favorite of the season for sure. Yeah,
I mean, gosh, old dogs. What do you say? I mean, there's like it's especially as they get down to the final season, there's kind of a poetry about it, and each hunt feels more special, and each point to retrieve it more meaningful, I guess. And they don't hear your whistle like you used to, or they take a little bit longer to get back to the truck, but it's really cool, when you were looking at Mika and Corey's dog and Jason's dog, just that trust that's there, and they know what's expected of them, but at the same time, we just let them be old dogs, and they can soak up the experience, and just that level of satisfaction they have is pretty incredible.
We saw signs. I mean, I think like Annie went through a pretty serious situation. I feel like Annie is the most active of the four still, which is great, obviously. But it was nice to see those little flashes, like Corey and Boone hadn't hunted in 7 years or whatever it was, and boom, as soon as he got on that first pheasant, he locked up on it just like he never left the field, and we got to see those little glimpses. And when you mentioned the dog not hearing the whistle, it was a couple of years ago when I first noticed that Mika, like I was probably 4 or 5 years ago, and Mika's hearing really took a turn for the worst. And now you can walk, if she's sleeping in the hallway, you can step over her and she doesn't, if you walk softly enough, she'll have no idea that you were there. And it was probably 2 years ago now, I was walking, just taking her for a walk, and I had Tiny with, and I had my whistle with, and I blew the whistle because Tiny ran off into the grass somewhere, and I blew the whistle to bring Tiny back. And I watched Mika's head snap, her ears went up and her head snapped up and looked up at me. And that was the first time I'd noticed her actually hearing something in a couple of years, and was like, oh my gosh, that little glimpse into when those dogs were younger, when they give you that little flash of what you remember. And that's what that hunt was all about. And you'll be able to watch that on Pioneer PBS coming up on March 30th, and again on a PBS station near you after that, and on the Prairie Sportsman YouTube channel. All right, for our radio show, for our affiliates, thank you for listening. We got to go to the podcast portion of the show right now. You can continue this conversation with us on our YouTube channel, Sporting Journal Radio, or download wherever you get your favorite podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever else. Sick of eating tag soup? It's time to own your odds this fall with OnX Hunt, the GPS hunting app trusted by millions of hunters. Now you'll have access to nationwide public and private land ownership information, waypoints, optimal win for each stand, tracks, and much more. All at your fingertips. Go to onxmaps.com/hunt and use code SJR20 at checkout to receive 20% off your membership. That's code SJR20. Ben, what's next for you?
Oh, spring is getting here. It feels nice outside, and we've had a little hiatus from. We spent a few weeks out west chasing birds in Nevada and Arizona and New Mexico, and it's been a good month or so now, and pretty soon, actually, I shouldn't say pretty soon, the woodcock are back now, so that is on the agenda, is to get into the woods and start running on those funny little critters and find some grouse and get ready for our spring field trial season. So that's top of mind for me right now.
And you're part of an organization that does stuff here in Minnesota and Wisconsin?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's called, we've got a few different organizations. It's all part of a cover dog association. So Minnesota's Minnesota Grouse Dog Association. There's one out of the Chippewa Falls areas, which is Chippewa Valley, Grouse Dog Association, and then Moose River, which is out of Northwest Wisconsin. And yeah, we have got cover dog trails where if you would walk up on it, you would see a line of people following seemingly the sound of a bell and wandering aimlessly through the woods. And every once in a while you hear a starter pistol go off. So it's a funny club, but man, there are some good bird dogs, and it's a great opportunity to keep your dog sharp.
Well, it's nice to have that opportunity this time of year too. I mean, if you're not fishing, you might be turkey hunting or snow goose hunting, but other than that, you don't really have that opportunity to do much in the hunting world. So be able to get out there and chase birds around is pretty neat. We need to get out there and film that this year. I want to do that for Prairie Sportsman, Ben. So
yeah, we've got a couple coming up actually, and if you're listening in Minnesota here, We have got one that is the 28th through the 30th of March, and you can find more information if you go to the Minnesota Grouse Dog Association Facebook page or Instagram page. You can find dates there. We've got one couple in Wisconsin, and our second Minnesota trial the 11th through 13th of April, and that happens right up in the Rum River State Forest. But again, we love to have new people come. You can come and watch in the gallery, and it's a very welcome environment, and you can see some really dang good dogs.
You know, behind your booth, too, we saw some really nice Upland shotguns while we were at Pheasant Fest. Upland Gun Company, are you working with them?
Yep. If you, again, OnX Elite, if you're on there, you can get a discount on Upland Gun Company. But I've got a couple of them, and it's like we were talking about the vest. It's hard to go back, but it is an investment. But an investment in an Upland Gun Company gun is going to be a heck of a lot cheaper than if you would go and buy, a higher end Beretta or a Brazini or something that's custom fit to you, which makes a huge difference when it comes to wing shooting.
Yeah. How about the guy who gets to go to Italy and watch his gun get built? Or
John
something?
Lee. Yeah.
Yeah, he got a slight upgrade from his prize he won last year.
He won my print off the auction last year.
It was a pretty good prize.
It was just a pretty good prize, yeah. I thought so.
It's not Italy.
But it's not Italy, yeah.
So next year you auction off a chance to watch someone go to the place where the print is printed for your picture.
Yeah, there you go.
Wherever that happens. It used to be like you go to Walgreens and get your film developed. You get a tour of that.
Dan's kind of with us all of a sudden.
Yeah, you're very fuzzy.
He's a little out of focus.
Well,
yeah,
I'll fix that.
Like you're an SD over there.
Yeah.
Catch up to 2025.
I get what you're saying, though. Since he's winning the gun and he gets to go watch the gun getting built,
right?
Since he won the print, he could go see where it's being printed.
Yeah, I was going to say you could sit in the photo blind with you, but then you'd give up your spot.
Well,
we don't want to do that, so he can just go to where it's printed, watch that process.
We might have to
spit out of the printer. Oh, this is the printer.
Yeah.
David, you could do that.
Yeah, Control P,
the 2-button thing down.
Although it is a printer. Has anyone ever successfully used a printer on the first time without an issue?
No.
Ever?
No, that's true.
I haven't. So maybe learn how to do that. That's pretty valuable.
First thing we do, it's out of paper.
Yeah.
First thing we do.
Now we're out of ink.
Yeah.
All right, go to Walmart, buy ink. Italy, printer.
I mean, I don't know. There's Montevideo, and then there's Italy. I mean,
both international.
I love that area, but.
Or we were talking about Uruguay or Paraguay or wherever, whichever.
Yes, Paraguay.
Well, which Montevideo is in
Montevideo or Montevideo?
Yeah,
Montevideo.
Yeah, right. Yeah, this is a pretty good trip. I can't remember what country that's in.
You're up here.
Uruguay. Italy
Maybe the show was better before I showed up.
I believe they are sister cities.
They are.
There's a statue.
Yeah. So, Ben, you've taken a lot of trips to the south, to the west, to the southwest for birds. Have you ever gone over to Italy or overseas?
I haven't. Not to hunt birds. I've been over to New Zealand before hunting big game, but that's something that it certainly piques my interest. There's still a number of things I want to do here on the continent that I can bring my dogs to go do and experience, because at the end of the day, my wife is then left with the dogs, and that's the whole point, is that I can take them and go hunt birds. So, maybe in the future when I deleverage on some dogs, that could be on the horizon. But for now, I've got some things.
I've never heard it called that before. Deleverage on some dogs. Man. Yeah, that's the tough part. I did an Argentina trip for birds, and I couldn't imagine trying to bring a dog with on that one. That would have been, that's a lot of tough with the international travel. But New Zealand, how was that? Because I feel like New Zealand has been all we've been talking about lately, trying to get over there for waterfowl or, big game as well. But I mean, just to go see the country, I think would be neat.
Oh yeah, it was incredible. New Zealand was beautiful. It was clean. The people were welcoming, and then not to mention the scenery. everywhere you were, you essentially could be an award-winning photographer because you couldn't look anywhere without, this crystal blue waters or big, like Lord of the Rings looking mountains. And we were able to hunt. We hunted tar, chamois, and stag. And surprisingly enough, stag was my least favorite of them.
Really?
Tar being my favorite. Just the places they live were astounding. We drove across, like 4 rivers to get there in our little Hilux, and there was a cabin down in the river bottom area, and either side the peaks just jutted into the clouds, and that's where those tar lived. And we could sit and glass them from camp, and you drive across the river and start hiking up and get on them. So that was pretty incredible.
Like sheep hunting, basically.
Pretty much, but not as intense. And you could get up there, and I think the first day we shot a couple tar, and we were able to get up and down. So the nice thing is it's not the elevation that you would have to hunt to get sheep, because everything is starting out essentially at sea level. So you could be up 4,000 or 5,000 feet, so you're not having to worry about the oxygen issue, but you still do have to worry about covering 10,000 feet of vert potentially.
So like sheep hunting, less heart attacks. Gotcha.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, Ben. Well, everyone get an elite membership with OnX. You're going to love it, and you can save some money on some cool stuff. Congrats on the Path program expansion. I think that's brilliant. I think that's just one of the more important things that's taking place in the hunting world today. I think that's awesome that you're a part of it, and OnX Hunt is a part of it. And anytime you want to talk about that, feel free to come back and join us on the show. Dan, congratulations on the fire call that was canceled.
Thank you.
Something like that.
That's a weird statement.
Hey, you're doing your duty. Now you're in log, I think.
Oh, probably. This camera sucks.
Anybody want to buy a Panasonic GH5?
After I just said it sucks, I'll throw it in with my boat.
So I can, so I can buy a new Canon. Oh, man.
It's a nice camera.
It is a nice camera.
Somebody knows how to use it. I told you needed to fire your social media guy yesterday. Now you need to fire your producer. So
who is that again?
It's me.
Yeah.
I'm calling for my own head.
Do you want to leave? You don't want to be part of this anymore?
Clearly I'm not doing a good job.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
But that's okay. Your family. So
it's accountability. I'm accountability. That's not a word. I'm being accountable for myself.
Making yourself accountable?
Hey,
that. Yeah.
I will say this, though, being on a volunteer fire department cancels all that stuff out.
Perfect. I'm still here.
So. Yes. That's awesome that you do it.
Just have to not travel as much.
Well, that's the problem. Ben, we were talking before we got on. David and I were sitting here going, all right, what do we do? Do we try to reschedule Ben's interview when Dan's back, or do we just try to knock this out? And I was like, let's just go. Dan's either going to be gone for 8 hours, or he's going to be back in a half hour saying it was canceled. And I said, there's no way Dan was missing this, because as we were driving to Pheasant Fest on Saturday in Kansas, we were coming from Kentucky going to Kansas City. Dan's pager went off. And what'd you say? It was you missed
too many.
7 out of 8 calls or something?
We don't need to throw statistics around here.
Statistics?
Yeah. That word. But you don't like to go to practice and then not get to play in the game. Of course. So.
Yeah. And then I said, if it does get canceled, Dan's going to be all sad when he gets back.
Yeah, I am. But I have a beer in my hand, so I'm okay.
There you go.
And I'm not working. I get to watch you do my job. So this is fun. I like being David. This is kind of fun. I could get used to this.
I've rearranged everything on your computer for you. So.
Well, you can
here to help.
Keep doing it. I think I'm going to be David from now on. Yeah. Roll up in here. Just everything's already set up. Sit down, crack a beer, eat some pizza. Say a few
David's
things,
got it easy.
Say a few things into a microphone and go home.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
It's not a bad gig.
No, this was good getting David some practice on this, because if you're ever gone and David and I are here, now David will know.
No, I don't feel obligated to be around.
Yeah.
It's got to be almost as good as working for OnX.
Got just a couple buttons for you to push.
Yeah. Not bad.
Yeah.
All right. Ben Brettingen, OnX Hunt. Good luck with whatever you got next. And let's stay in touch about doing some filming. And thanks for being on the show this week.
For sure. Appreciate it, fellas.
Sporting Journal Radio is a division of Macaba LLC. If you've got a question, comment, or story idea for us, send us an email. Go to sportingjournalradio.com. While you're there, you can learn how to advertise on the show and visit our store for hats, hoodies, coffee mugs, and more. Go to sportingjournalradio.com.